How karma influences premature death. A spiritual answer you've never heard. Have you ever stood silently at a funeral and wondered, why did this beautiful soul have to leave so soon? Why does a small child, full of innocence and joy, leave the world before even having the chance to live? Why does death sometimes come not in old age, but in youth, in the flowering of life? These questions have troubled even the wisest minds and broken the hearts of many. Perhaps you have witnessed a family shattered by the loss of a young being, or maybe you carry that wound silently within you. It is natural to mourn. It is human to wonder why. But beloved soul, today I invite you to explore this tender mystery, not with fear or despair, but with gentle curiosity and spiritual vision. Because there is a deeper understanding hidden beneath the pain, a perspective that brings peace where there was once suffering. On the spiritual path, especially in the teachings of yoga and the great masters, we are reminded again and again, we are not these bodies. We are not these temporary names and forms. We are souls, eternal travelers on the journey of awakening. And just as some journeys are long and winding, others are short but powerful. A soul that departs early has not been forgotten by God. It has simply completed the work for which it came, sometimes in a few years, sometimes even in a few breaths. This may seem impossible to accept when we are attached to the physical presence of our loved ones. But when we elevate our consciousness and begin to see with the eyes of the soul, clarity begins to emerge. This message does not seek to give easy answers or empty comfort. Instead, it seeks to offer you a sacred perspective rooted in the eternal wisdom of karma, reincarnation, and divine timing. Together we will gently explore why some souls leave early and how their departure, though painful, is often part of a much larger and more beautiful divine design. So breathe deeply, open your heart, and accompany me on this inner journey, a journey of healing, truth, and understanding. You may discover that the soul you thought was lost has never really gone away. To understand why some people die young, we must begin with the deepest truth. You are not the body. You are not even the mind. You, dear being, are a soul, eternal, ageless, formless. The body is like a garment, something the soul wears for a time. And just as clothing is changed when it is old or no longer needed, the soul also leaves the body when its purpose has been fulfilled. When we see a child or young person pass away, the heart trembles, and rightly so. But the soul within that young body may not be young at all. That child may be an old and experienced soul that has already walked the earth many times. The outer appearance, the face of a baby, the laughter of a little one, the energy of a teenager, can deceive us into believing they are new to life. But from the soul's perspective, they may already be very close to spiritual graduation. Perhaps they have returned only to fulfill a small unfinished lesson, or to offer one last gift of love or service to another soul before returning to the higher realms. Life is not measured in years, but in purpose. Sometimes a complete life purpose can be fulfilled in just a few moments or a few years. A soul may come simply to bring joy to its family or to awaken compassion in a parent's heart. It may arrive to balance a single karmic thread from another life. And once that sacred mission is fulfilled, no matter how brief it may have been, the soul departs. We must begin to see life not as a linear journey from birth to death, but as a series of sacred experiences that the soul collects throughout many lifetimes. Some chapters are long, others are very short, but each one is written with love by the divine. The soul does not fear death. It only sees it as a transition, a movement from one plane of experience to another. So when someone leaves early, don't ask, why so soon? Rather ask, what did their soul come to complete? The answer is often profound and deeply healing. To understand why some lives are brief, we must look to the silent and invisible law that governs all things. The law of karma. Karma is not punishment. It is not cruelty. It is divine justice, exact, loving, and precise. It is the law of cause and effect that extends across lifetimes. Every thought we have, every action we perform, and every word we speak creates a vibration, and that vibration returns to us in time, like a wave returning to shore. Now, consider this. Some souls return to this earth not to live a complete life from birth to old age, but simply to balance a small karmic account. Their journey may be short because the lesson is simple, the debt is light, or the purpose is specific. For example, a soul may return only to experience the love of a parent it once harmed in another life. Or perhaps it needs to bring a moment of joy or awakening to someone who once gave it the same. Once that exchange is completed, the karmic thread is fulfilled and the soul departs. To our eyes, it may seem unfair. Why is a child born only to suffer? Why is a young life suddenly cut short? But from the soul's vision, it is not a tragedy. It is culmination. It is balance. Karma is not always something we can understand with the mind. It must be understood with the heart and with spiritual consciousness. We must also remember that not all karma is negative. There is also good karma, dharma, and even grace. Sometimes a soul leaves early because it already has very little karma left, having overcome many tests in previous lives and not needing to remain longer in the physical world. Its early departure is not a failure, but a sign of approaching liberation. So, dear seeker, let us not see death, especially early death, as a cruel ending. Let us see it instead as the perfect unfolding of divine justice and timing. The universe makes no mistakes. Each soul's journey is unique. Some stay long, others only an instant, but all are guided by the sacred rhythm of karma and the loving intelligence of spirit. Before being born into this world, before taking a body, a name, or a family, our soul meets with higher beings, with guides, with divine intelligence. In that sacred space, beyond time and form, we make choices. These choices are not made with fear or confusion. They are made with deep love and wisdom. We call this a soul contract. A soul contract is like a spiritual blueprint. It describes the key lessons, relationships, and events that we agree to experience in this life. It includes not only our potential challenges, but also our possible exits, the moments when the soul can choose to leave the physical body and return to its higher home. Yes, even the moment of death, whether early or late, is part of the soul's greater design. Now, this does not mean that everything is fixed. We are not puppets. We have free will and life responds to our choices. But the soul, before birth, sees with a much broader vision than the mind can comprehend. It may choose a shorter life to fulfill a very specific mission. It may volunteer to enter a difficult situation, even as a child, to bring healing to a family, awaken love, or change unresolved karmic patterns for generations. Some souls come not for themselves, but for others. They are like sparks, quick, bright, powerful. Their presence may be brief, but it changes everything. A child who lives only a few months can still transform their parents' hearts. A young person who dies early can become the reason another person approaches spirituality or opens their heart to deeper compassion. The impact of that soul's presence can resonate throughout many lifetimes. So when we say that a soul chose an early departure, we are not saying it wanted to suffer or was denied life. We are saying it made a sacred agreement to come, serve, and depart, all in alignment with divine will. There is no tragedy in a fulfilled soul contract, only grace. Understanding this truth helps us soften our pain. It reminds us that behind what appears to be chance in life, there is a divine intelligence, always guiding, always loving, always bringing the soul back home. In the spiritual realm, souls do not travel alone. Just as we walk together in this world as families, friends, and communities, our souls also move together through many lifetimes, united by deep karmic bonds. When a soul chooses to be born into a particular family, it is not random. It is part of a sacred group of souls, a set of souls that evolve together, often taking on different roles in each existence. Sometimes a parent, sometimes a child, sometimes a sibling or a friend. And within these relationships, deep karmas are often being resolved. When a young soul departs early, the pain is not carried by them alone. The waves are felt most strongly in the family. The mother, the father, the siblings, the grandparents. And sometimes that is precisely why the soul came to that family. Not to stay, but to awaken something. To complete a collective karma that could not be resolved any other way. Let us understand this gently. In some cases, a child is born to a parent who, in another life, once harmed or abandoned them. Now, in this life, they return as a child, allowing that parent to love them, care for them, and heal that old karma through tenderness and sacrifice. In other cases, the child's brief presence can trigger spiritual growth in the family, a sudden turn inward, deeper compassion for life, or the breaking of old patterns like control, pride, or emotional insensitivity. Sometimes, families carry ancestral karmas, wounds that have been passed down for generations. And the early departure of a soul can act as a karmic release. As painful as it may seem on the surface, it often leads to transformation. It brings hidden emotions to the surface. It forces people to look inward. It softens the heart. And in that softening, healing begins. The soul that leaves early may be serving a higher purpose for the group, not as a victim, but as a messenger of light. Their role, though brief in time, may be immense in spiritual impact. So when you witness or experience such a loss, ask yourself gently, what did this soul come to teach the family? What karmic threads were being tied here? And slowly, through meditation and reflection, the answers will begin to reveal themselves, not in the mind, but in the heart. Sometimes, when a soul departs early from this world, it is not because it had unfinished karma, but because it already had very little karma to settle. Not all short lives are the result of past debts or pending lessons. In many cases, they are signs of spiritual maturity, of a soul that has already traveled the path of evolution throughout many lifetimes and now finds itself on the threshold of liberation. You see, dear soul, some beings are much older than they appear. They carry deep spiritual wisdom, even in childhood. Perhaps you have known a child who seemed unusually calm, wise beyond their years, one who spoke of things they shouldn't know, or radiated a serene presence that felt bigger than their time on earth. These are often advanced souls who are not here to learn, but to teach, to give, to bless. Their time on earth may be brief, but it is filled with light. In that short span, they can uplift a family, inspire a community, or even become the silent cause of someone's spiritual awakening. Their presence, though temporary, changes the energy of the environment. Like a candle in a dark room, they shine just enough to help others see, and then they leave. Why? Because they no longer need the earthly classroom. Their soul has gathered what it came to gather throughout many births, and now it is simply passing through, like a traveler who stops briefly in a familiar place before continuing the last leg of their journey home. Sometimes these souls take a body only to fulfill a divine task, to awaken love, to remind us of God, or to inspire compassion. Once that task is fulfilled, they withdraw silently without attachment. They are not victims of fate. They are expressions of divine grace. It is natural to mourn such a loss. But if we could see with the eyes of the soul, we would recognize the early departure of these beings not as a tragedy, but as a culmination, a liberation, a silent return to the infinite. Let us honor these souls, not only with tears, but with remembrance, with silence, with gratitude. Because their presence, however brief, is a blessing, and their departure is a gentle whisper that reminds us, this world is not our true home. We are only passing through. Dear soul, when someone you love leaves this world too soon, it can shake your foundations. The heart asks why, the mind struggles to understand, and grief, like a silent wave, can rise again and again. But as seekers on the spiritual path, we are invited to face this pain with more than just sadness. We are invited to meet it with awareness, with compassion, and above all, with a deeper understanding of life beyond death. First, allow yourself to mourn. Spiritual understanding is not cold or emotionless. It is warm, welcoming, and real. Let the tears flow, but let them carry love instead of bitterness. Remember, grief is not weakness. It is the heart's natural way of releasing what it treasured. But don't stop there. Begin to ask yourself, what did this soul come to teach me? What part of me is being called to awaken through this experience? Perhaps it is patience. Perhaps it is compassion. Perhaps it is a deeper relationship with God. When we reflect in this way, even pain becomes part of the path. Let the early departure of a loved one be your invitation to go within. Sit in silence. Meditate. Pray not only for the peace of their soul, but for your own clarity. you may discover that they have not gone away. They have simply moved to an upper room, beyond the walls of this visible world. And in moments of calm, in dreams, in stillness, their presence can still be felt. Love never dies. The soul never breaks the connection. As seekers, we must also learn to trust in the divine timing of life. No soul arrives late. No soul leaves early. Everything happens in harmony with a cosmic plan much greater than the human mind can comprehend. Trust that your loved one is held in the arms of spirit, not lost, but elevated. And above all, let their memory become a source of light on your own path. Live more fully, love more deeply, serve with compassion. Make your life become the continuation of their soul's purpose. Make your spiritual growth their blessing. This is how a seeker responds, not by closing the heart, but by opening it even more. Not by turning away from pain, but by walking through it with the lamp of divine wisdom. Dear soul, if you have stayed with me through this reflection, you should know that your heart is ready for deeper understanding. These questions about life, death, karma, and the soul's journey are not easy ones, but they are sacred. They show that your spirit is awakening. You are not just living on the surface of life. You are seeking the truth that lies beneath. Always remember this: no soul has truly gone away. They live, not only in our memories, but in spirit, in vibration, in the silent corners of our heart. Love is the thread that connects all souls beyond time and form. And when we love purely, we are never far from those who have departed. In fact, they walk beside us, gently guiding, whispering through intuition, through dreams, through the deep peace that sometimes comes for no reason. If this message has touched your heart or brought you even a small ray of clarity, I humbly ask you to pause for a moment and write in the comments. I honor the journey of every soul. Let it be your offering, a prayer not only for your loved ones, but for all who have left early and for all of us who are still here, learning to live with love. And I would love to know, what would you like to explore next on this path of wisdom? Do you want a deeper vision of what happens after death? Or how we can communicate with souls on the other side? Or perhaps you wish to understand how to free yourself from karmic cycles? Write your suggestions in the comments. Your voice matters here. This space is for you, the seeker, the student, the soul walking toward the light. If you found peace or meaning here, share this message with someone who may be grieving or seeking answers. You never know how a spark of truth can illuminate an entire world. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe so we can continue this sacred conversation together. Until we meet again in the next reflection, remain anchored in love, walk gently, and remember, the soul is eternal and you are never alone. Jai Gurudev. If this message touched your heart and helped you better understand the journey, remembering that it is part of your karma and your spiritual growth, support our work with a super thanks so we can continue creating transformative content with themes that inspire, help people, and bring more light to each life. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if it resonates with you, and share it with your friends so our message reaches where it is needed.